Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from 6 of Spades, and he's in the Kremlin, a tier 10 Russian battleship. He's on map Warrior's Path in a 3-point domination game. And well, there's no carrier, there are 2 destroyers. And well, our shells are in the air towards Neptune. Neptune has disappeared in smoke, and now the Neptune has disappeared entirely. And the talent has been activated, isn't that lovely? So now he has one more charge for his heal, which might just come in handy, you know. Now overall, that's obviously a decent start. The friendlies are here at the sea cap in force, although it does look like the enemy team isn't so interested in this side of the map. Now the Hindenburg is in retreat. We don't know anyone else. Well, we know that Terrible is here. And well, it looks like there's also Tirpitz, but also already in full retreat. Now we still have ships sailing towards the sea cap, which is, like, for example, this Georgia should probably turn around and support A. There seems to be quite a few enemies there. And honestly, the enemy Terrible should probably be running away. Like, it's nice of him that he's trying to contest the cap for his team, but you know he's being abandoned, and that's usually the time when you should bail. But I know how it is, you know, you think you have a fleet behind you and you sail in there and you forget to check the min-map for 2 minutes and suddenly you turn around and you're all alone. So, the Terrible should be running. Now meanwhile, the friendlies should push very, very hard. They need to get rid of that Terrible, and then they need to move over to the B cap. Now the friendlies control the B cap. A is still contested, although probably will be taken by the enemy soon. And yeah, those friendlies need to be a bit more careful, because they are vastly outnumbered. So let's speed this up here a tiny bit, because currently damage. And there we go again. So it looks like the Hindenburg decided to stay here after all. Might not be the wisest choice. The Terrible is finally realizing that his position is nothing he can hold, so he is going to retreat. But will the Terrible make it out of here alive? I guess, yeah, it looks like. Now the friendly team doesn't actually have radar here, so they can't really reacquire the Terrible. Meanwhile, interestingly enough, Tirpitz is trying to take the B cap. We have a Georgia here who might intervene, but if the Georgia is going this way, then he's going to have to face the ships in A. And the set here seems to be, oh, the set just took care of the Tirpitz, and the friendly booster got detonated. Interesting. Now, ship-wise, it's pretty equal. And the friendlies aren't necessarily in a hurry. I mean, they definitely want to sink the Hindenburg if possible, and then they want to be in a position to defend E. And, well, 6 of Spades is doing the right thing. He is slowly moving towards this channel, so he will be in a heartbeat. Now, the enemy team still seems to be busy at A. The friendly Tirpitz here seems to be AFK, honestly, because I don't think he has moved at any point, and this Musashi is trying a desperate last stand. Now the Georgia is reinforcing. Like, I mean, the Georgia could have stayed at A early on. Now is not really the time to be pushing A. It's commendable if he wants to help the Musashi, but there just isn't enough. Like, at this point he should be more is taking a defensive stance at B. And especially like those friendlies here in the back need to also get a move on more towards the B area. Now this Hindenburg, despite everything, is still alive, and the Spades decided to slow down here because he wants to help sink this guy before he moves towards this channel, but you know, I mean, somebody just sink that Hindenburg. Meanwhile, he is getting kept, most likely by the Terrible. And obviously, like, pushing a destroyer that has torpedoes is always a bit problematic. I mean, the Terrible isn't that sneaky, but there are plenty of islands, and there she is. Now the enemies managed to flip that cap, which is unfortunate, but can they sink the destroyer? It was a lot of damage. Looks like he's still around. So, destroyer on very low health, but that means he's still capable of launching, and this hidden book is still floating. Well, it looks like those torps are a bust. Now that gives the friendlies an opportunity to sink the enemy before he can reload those, and down he goes. Finally, the Hindenburg goes down. Now, oh, this Tirpitz is not AFK. I've just realized something, that the Tirpitz had set at the... Maybe he did the time to load into... I'm not sure. Like... Maybe he just fell asleep. If in person or just his brain. Who knows? Now, the friendly forces are finally arriving at, like... Especially that Bismarck should not be there. Like, there was no reason for him to be so... so long in the 10 line. When it was entirely clear that this battle was developing. But... The friendlies still have a small points lead. They are now contesting B. They are equal on ships, so not looking too problematic overall. Now all the friendlies have to do is just take this cap and stand defended. Now 6 of spades is a kind of broadside towards the Ivan Conqueror, currently not spotted, so not a big deal. Benson is engaging the Fletcher. I'm just not sure. Well, the Set and the Benson can both engage the Fletcher, so hopefully they got this. I don't think anyone else has shot Set. Oh, the Smolensk had. So that's lovely. That means the enemy team is out of destroyers, and in a domination game, that's a very big advantage for the friendly team. 6 of spades is carefully moving forward here. He doesn't want to show his broadside towards the Conqueror and the Iowa, and he probably also wants to cap this, but it's going to get interrupted here. Now broadside is Sumo. Let's see what happens. Ah, that was pretty decent damage. Pretty decent damage. Now unfortunately, so Spades is now kind of in a crossfire. He moved a little bit too far beyond this island, so technically the Conqueror and the Iowa can shoot his broadside, while a bunch of ships in front of him can also shoot him. Not to mention that there is probably a hidden Smolensk, and well, the Venezia is no longer hidden, I suppose, but also that. So, not a great spot to be in. On the bright side, the friendlies are going to take this cap soon, because there is the Benson still around. And there you go. Now he really... Oh, he dropped into concealment. Yeah, concealment is a good answer for the beating he's receiving here. Now he needs to reposition in a place where he isn't getting shot at by 6 enemy from 3 different directions. Now look at that, the Bismarck has almost arrived. Okay. So on the bright side, the friendlies only have to defend at this point. Oh, Smolensk is visible. Can we get some juicy hits? Well, I mean, that was decent actually. There is still half a Smolensk left though, and I'm afraid he will disappear behind this island. I guess does someone have snow? Somebody has spotting still. So that Smolensk is a prime target, that's why nobody else is shooting it probably, because, you know. And yeah, the Smolensk managed to... No, it didn't manage to disappear. Oh, and there are some other shells, although they didn't do an awful lot. Now Smolensk has torpedoes, so there is a decent chance that torps are coming through this channel. But he's getting low, and the next salvo might just be able to solve this problem once and for all. Meanwhile, 6 of spades has to be careful because he is technically broadside. Oh. But he gotta be careful that he isn't showing too much broadside towards his battleships or towards Puerto Rico. Now it looks like that Smolensk will live another day. And a new target has appeared. I might have tried, like the Smolensk is still visible, to just get a few more shares in there because he is getting low and I'd consider him a priority target. then again, maybe the island is blocking it by now. Now, of course, broadside Puerto Rico, always a good choice to shoot a broadside cruiser, I guess. And it looks like the Puerto Rico is, well, he's begging for more citadels. I mean... Oh, no citadels. So sad. Meanwhile, Six of Spades, while he is burning heavily, he has found some cover behind his island. Currently it's only the Puerto Rico he has to worry about. No more citadels are forthcoming, but you know, penetrations did the trick. Now, ideally he can focus down this Bismarck without any other enemies interfering, and then we shall see. Speaking of Bismarcks, the friendly Bismarck is basically almost at the front. I mean, you know, it just took him 13 minutes. And you know, the one additional heal charge from the first blood might actually come in handy in this battle. Because like that heal is almost ready again, and well, might be enough time to go through the last charge as well. Now, I'm not sure, is he going to try to turn around? Personally, in this situation, I might just be reverse. I'd be reversing back towards this island here. I mean, it doesn't look like the Bismarck has secondary, so you don't necessarily need to sail outside of it, and that turn here is rather risky, because, I mean, Bismarck isn't very accurate, doesn't have the biggest guns, but, you know, if you show full broadside to a Bismarck, he is totally capable of, like, deleting this Kremlin. Now, since the Bismarck is so well angled, Six of Spades is going for high explosive, and reasonable choice there. Managed to set 2 fires with 1 salvo, because why not? And it looks like the Bismarck's out of damage con. Either that or he decided 2 fires he can take. I mean, the Bismarck is way too low to take 2 fires, so I assume his damage con was on cooldown. There you go. I can't spot this fucking Smolensk. I will never understand how people believe you can, like, provide spotting against cruisers in smoke if you're a destroyer. Now, I mean, okay, if it's a cruiser with a large smoke fire penalty, maybe you can get close enough without risk to yourself to still spot this guy if he's firing, but for the most part, you know, if you're a destroyer, you can't do anything against a cruiser that's sitting in smoke. You can try to torpedo this smoke, but unless you get lucky, get a hit in there ain't much you can do. Now, the friendlies are 1 ship behind by now, but they are still ahead on points, and it's only 4 minutes left, so they gotta do this careful. So why he's not talking in German, I don't know. But what he's basically suggesting is that he can remove that Smolensk from his smoke with torpedoes. That's not how this works, you know. You torpedo a smoke screen and maybe will get some hits, and maybe the enemy is running hydro and is angled correctly and he's just dodging them, and maybe he's just dodging them without leaving the smoke screen. It's a broadside win. Well, that was a broadside we need. You know, that's going to come in handy. Also, I think he should slow down here. I mean, if he's sailing too far ahead, then yeah, like he has the Sumo to engage, but too far ahead, and maybe the Conqueror and the Smolensk get shots at him. He's out of fields by now. The Smolensk is... maybe he can get the Smolensk here, actually. Would have probably aimed a little bit low. Smolensks are rather tricky. 6 overpens, so yeah. So the Smolensk should be pretty low, but he can't see her. And well, Six of Spades is getting very low here. There is 3 minutes left. The friendlies could afford to lose. Like, the friendlies still have the Benson, and that might just win them the game because the enemies won't be taking any more caps. And all the friendlies now need is time. They're already at 900. Even if they lose the Kremlin here, they are still going to be alright. How healthy is the friendly Smolensk? Pretty healthy. So the friendly Smolensk could take on the enemy one. And as long as the Benson stays alive, the friendly's got it. Meanwhile, it looks like they might even be sinking the Sumo. Now 6 of Spades is rightfully reversing here, and there is the captain traded. Fire is gone. He has a heal going. He still has 1 damage con available to get rid of an additional fire if needed. Oh, and the enemy conquerors. But you know, if they sink the Sumo now, the friend is just weak. And here we are with the results. 6 of Spades got himself 3022 base experience, and very nicely done. He achieved 2 devastating strikes, a Confederate, a Fireproof, a Dreadnought, a Kraken, a First Blood, and a High Caliber, scoring 260,000 points of damage. And yeah, that was a close one, despite his impressive performance. It was closer than it should have been, I think. But yeah, it was a nice battle. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And I'll see you guys next time.